Welcome and take a closer look at the Roosevelt Dime, because one tiny detail that most people never notice can completely change how collectors see it. In the next few minutes, we'll uncover what experts examine first, why only certain authenticated examples stand out, and how an ordinary-looking coin can become an extraordinary collectible. Step 1. It begins as one of the smallest and most overlooked coins in American circulation, quietly passing from one pocket to another with almost no attention. Yet the 1982 D Roosevelt dime has become a fascinating subject among collectors because tiny manufacturing details, preservation quality, and authentic mint characteristics can transform an ordinary-looking coin into something far more desirable. At first glance, it appears to be just another modern dime, but experienced numismatists know that every genuine example tells a story about American coin production during an important period of economic transition. As this documentary unfolds, you'll discover why this Denver Mint issue deserves a closer look, how specialists separate ordinary circulation pieces from exceptional survivors, what authenticated examples have sold for in today's collector market, and why only certain coins command remarkable premiums while countless others remain worth only face value. The journey reveals that rarity is rarely created by age alone. Instead, it is the combination of preservation, production quality, verified authenticity, and collector demand that ultimately determines whether this seemingly common dime becomes an ordinary keepsake or an extraordinary numismatic prize. By 1982, the United States was navigating a period marked by high interest rates, persistent inflation, and an economy gradually recovering from recession. Although these national events rarely appear on the surface of a coin, they form the historical backdrop against which the 1982 D Roosevelt dime was struck. The Roosevelt dime itself honors President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II permanently shaped modern America. Following Roosevelt's death in 1945, the dime was selected as the denomination to bear his portrait because of his close association with the March of Dimes campaign, an organization that raised funds to fight polio, the disease that affected him personally. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark positioned on the obverse to the left of the date, produced hundreds of millions of these coins during 1982 using high-speed coining presses designed for efficiency rather than perfection. Every piece began as a carefully prepared blank composed of an outer layer of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core, resulting in a total weight of approximately 2.268 grams, a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, and the familiar reeded edge that distinguishes the denomination. Although these specifications remained consistent, slight variations introduced during production would later become important to collectors studying strike quality, die condition, and preservation. Examining the artistic details reveals why the Roosevelt dime has remained essentially unchanged for decades. The obverse displays a left-facing portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt designed by chief engraver John R. Sinek, accompanied by the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, the date, and the Denver mint mark. Sinek's initials appear subtly near the truncation of Roosevelt's neck, a detail frequently examined by collectors authenticating the design. On the reverse, a torch symbolizes liberty while an olive branch represents peace, and an oak branch signifies strength, all framed by the inscriptions United States of America, one dime, and EPLURIBUS UNUM. These features were created from master hubs and transferred through working dies capable of striking thousands of coins before gradually wearing down. As dies aged, fine design elements often softened, producing weaker strikes that today are carefully distinguished from sharply struck examples. Collectors seeking the finest pieces pay close attention to Roosevelt's hair, the ear detail, the cheek contours, and especially the horizontal and vertical bands crossing the torch on the reverse. Coins displaying fully separated torch bands, commonly described as full bands by grading services, are significantly scarcer because achieving complete detail required fresh dies, precise striking pressure, and excellent planchet preparation throughout the minting process. Despite its enormous production numbers, the overwhelming majority of 1982 D dimes entered everyday commerce immediately after leaving the mint. They traveled through banks, vending machines, grocery stores, and cash registers, accumulating countless contact marks, scratches, and signs of circulation that permanently reduced their collectible quality. As years passed, many examples were lost, damaged, or melted as part of normal economic activity, while others simply continued circulating unnoticed. Ironically, the rarity today lies not in finding a 1982 D dime itself, but in locating one that escaped decades of wear while retaining its original mint luster and sharp strike. Professional grading organizations evaluate surviving specimens according to the internationally recognized Sheldon scale, assigning grades from poor 1 through mint state 70. Most circulated examples fall well below mint state, whereas carefully preserved coins may achieve mint state grades ranging from MS63 to MS67, or higher if they exhibit exceptional surfaces and outstanding eye appeal. A certified MS66 example with attractive luster and strong strike has sold in collector markets for roughly $1,250 under favorable demand, while another authenticated full-band specimen of similar preservation has realized approximately $2,350 because specialists place considerable value on complete strike characteristics. These values reflect certified, premium quality coins rather than ordinary circulation finds, emphasizing how dramatically condition influences market performance. The excitement surrounding this date also comes from the possibility of genuine mint errors and die varieties, although these are considerably rarer than internet rumors often suggest. Collectors carefully inspect their dimes for off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, retained cuds, struck-through errors, and significant doubled dies that have been verified by respected attribution specialists. Not every unusual mark qualifies as a legitimate mint error. Post-mint damage caused by machinery, environmental exposure, or accidental impact frequently imitates authentic production anomalies. Therefore, experienced numismatists rely upon magnification, comparison with documented varieties, and independent authentication before assigning substantial value. When a legitimate 1982 D-era coin is confirmed by a respected grading service and preserved in high mint state condition, collector competition can increase dramatically. Certain authenticated major errors have sold for well above $3,700 at specialized auctions, but these extraordinary prices represent exceptionally rare production mistakes rather than normal examples. Understanding this distinction protects collectors from unrealistic expectations while reinforcing the importance of careful research, expert attribution, and objective grading before assuming that any unusual-looking dime possesses extraordinary value. Authenticating a 1982 D Roosevelt dime involves much more than simply checking the date and mint mark. Serious collectors begin by verifying the correct weight with an accurate digital scale capable of measuring to 1/100th of a gram, ensuring the coin falls within accepted manufacturing tolerances. They examine the diameter, inspect the reeded edge for consistency, and study the color of exposed metal where wear reveals the copper core beneath the copper-nickel cladding. High-quality magnification helps identify altered mint marks, tooling, artificial tunning, or counterfeit surfaces created through casting rather than striking. Genuine mint state examples display a distinctive cartwheel luster produced by metal flow during the striking process, while counterfeit pieces often exhibit dull textures, porous surfaces, or incorrect lettering. Professional certification by respected grading companies provides an additional layer of confidence because specialists evaluate authenticity, assign standardized grades, and encapsulate the coin in tamper-evident holders. This process not only increases buyer confidence, but also establishes consistency within the marketplace, allowing collectors and auction houses to compare examples according to recognized grading standards rather than subjective opinions. As counterfeit technology improves, certification has become increasingly important for valuable modern coins, especially those represented as high-grade or rare variety specimens. Proper preservation can make the difference between maintaining collector quality and slowly destroying it through preventable damage. Even an attractive mint state 1982 D dime can lose significant value if mishandled, improperly cleaned, or stored in unfavorable environmental conditions. Cleaning remains one of the most common mistakes made by inexperienced collectors because abrasive polishing permanently alters the original mint surface, leaving microscopic hairlines that grading professionals immediately recognize. Instead, desirable examples should be handled only by their edges, preferably while wearing cotton or nitrile gloves, and stored individually in inert holders such as mylar flips, archival quality capsules, or certified slabs. Stable temperature, low humidity, and protection from airborne contaminants help preserve original luster and prevent unattractive tunning or corrosion. Collectors assembling Roosevelt Dime registry sets often compete for the finest certified examples, making eye appeal, surface preservation, and strike quality especially important. Population reports published by grading companies consistently demonstrate that the highest mint state grades remain scarce despite the coin's massive original mintage, because very few pieces survive decades without acquiring enough imperfections to limit their certified grade. This scarcity at the upper end of the grading scale continues to sustain collector demand among specialists pursuing elite quality collections. Today, the 1982 D Roosevelt Dime represents an excellent reminder that modern coins can possess fascinating stories and meaningful collector potential without relying solely on great age. It illustrates how history, manufacturing precision, preservation, and the disciplined standards of professional numismatics combine to shape value within the marketplace. While millions of these dimes remain ordinary circulating coins worth only their face value, a small number of authenticated, sharply struck, exceptionally preserved, or genuinely era-related examples have earned lasting attention from advanced collectors and competitive registry participants. Auction records consistently demonstrate that premiums are reserved for coins supported by outstanding condition, documented rarity, verified attribution, and strong collector demand rather than the date alone. Every serious evaluation begins with careful observation, accurate measurement, and objective authentication instead of assumption. For anyone fortunate enough to encounter a remarkably preserved 1982 D Roosevelt dime, the most important step is patience, allowing qualified experts to determine whether the coin possesses the exceptional characteristics that distinguish an everyday piece of pocket change from a respected and valuable collectible within the world of American numismatics. Step 2, a coin that most people would spend without a second thought, has quietly earned the respect of experienced collectors who understand that modern American coinage can hide remarkable stories beneath an ordinary appearance. The 1988 D Roosevelt dime is one of those pieces. Although millions were produced and entered circulation through everyday commerce, only a tiny fraction survived with the sharpness, originality, and preservation that serious numismatists seek today. At first glance, there seems to be nothing unusual about this Denver Mint issue, yet careful examination reveals why specialists continue searching through rolls, old bank bags, and long-forgotten collections in hopes of finding an exceptional survivor. As this story unfolds, you'll discover the historical circumstances surrounding its production, the characteristics that separate common examples from elite collector pieces, the standards professional grading services apply, and what authenticated specimens have actually brought in the marketplace. The real fascination is not found in the date alone, but in the combination of quality, rarity, and preservation that transforms an everyday dime into a genuinely desirable collectible. The 1988 D Roosevelt dime emerged during a period when the United States economy was experiencing steady expansion after the challenges of the early 1980s. Consumer confidence was strengthening. Inflation had moderated considerably compared to previous years, and electronic banking was beginning to change the way Americans handled money, although cash remained an essential part of everyday life. The Denver Mint, located in Colorado and identified by the small D mint mark beside the date, continued operating at extraordinary efficiency to satisfy nationwide demand for circulating coinage. The Roosevelt Dime itself had already served Americans for more than 4 decades by 1988, having first appeared in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt following his death in 1945. Roosevelt's leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, combined with his well-known support of the March of Dimes campaign against polio, made the denomination an especially meaningful tribute. During 1988, the Denver Mint struck well over 1 billion Roosevelt dimes for circulation, ensuring that nearly every American would encounter these coins in daily transactions. Their enormous production numbers make the date appear common, yet survival in exceptional condition is an entirely different matter. Every genuine 1988 D Roosevelt dime shares the standard physical specifications adopted after the transition away from silver coinage in the mid-1960s. Each piece was struck on a clad planchet consisting of outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core, creating a coin that weighs approximately 2.268 grams and measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter. Around the edge are precisely formed reeds that discourage counterfeiting and distinguish the dime by touch. The obverse features John R. Sinek's familiar portrait of Franklin Roosevelt facing left, accompanied by the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, the date, and the Denver Mint mark. Sinek's initials appear discreetly near the base of Roosevelt's neck, an often overlooked detail that helps confirm an authentic design. The reverse presents a carefully balanced composition centered on a flaming torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch standing for strength and stability. Encircling these elements are the inscriptions United States of America, EPLURIBUS UNUM, and 1 dime. Although the design remained unchanged from earlier years, the quality of individual strikes varied depending upon die wear, planchet preparation, and the mechanical adjustments of the high-speed presses operating within the Denver Mint. Those manufacturing differences explain why collectors carefully evaluate every surviving example, instead of assuming all 1988 D dimes are equal. Coins struck from fresh dies typically display stronger details in Roosevelt's hair, the ear, the cheek, and especially the horizontal and vertical bands crossing the reverse torch. Specialists often refer to examples exhibiting complete separation of those bands as full bands, a designation recognized by major grading services because it reflects superior strike quality rather than simple preservation alone. Since dies gradually deteriorated as production continued, many circulation strikes left the mint with softer details, making sharply struck examples noticeably scarcer. Professional grading organizations assess these coins using the Sheldon numerical scale, where mint state grades reward originality, luster, strike, surface preservation, and eye appeal. An attractive certified MS66 example with vibrant mint luster and minimal contact marks has realized approximately $1,180 in the collector market under favorable conditions, while an authenticated full-band specimen certified at a higher mint state level has brought around $2,640 when strong registry competition increased demand. These figures apply only to professionally authenticated examples possessing exceptional quality, rather than ordinary circulated pieces that remain abundant. Beyond condition alone, the 1988 D Roosevelt Dime also attracts attention because collectors remain alert for legitimate mint errors and recognized die varieties. However, it is important to separate documented mint-produced anomalies from damage occurring after the coin entered circulation. Authentic errors can include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, struck through debris, significant die cracks, retained cuds, and certain double die varieties that have been properly attributed by recognized specialists. Not every unusual scratch, flattened letter, or distorted rim indicates a valuable error, as years of circulation frequently produce marks capable of misleading inexperienced collectors. Reliable references and professional attribution remain essential before assigning rarity or significant value to any suspected variety. While no famous, universally recognized major variety defines the 1988 D Roosevelt dime in the way some other U.S. coins are known, authenticated error examples occasionally appear at specialized auctions and can command substantial premiums. In rare cases involving dramatic, certified mint errors preserved in outstanding condition, realized prices have exceeded $3,800, but such results represent exceptional numismatic discoveries rather than ordinary examples carrying the same date and mint mark. Authenticity has become increasingly important as modern counterfeit techniques continue improving. Serious collectors begin by confirming that the coin meets the correct weight, diameter, thickness, and metallic appearance expected for a genuine clad Roosevelt dime. Magnification reveals whether the lettering is crisp. The mint mark appears original rather than altered, and the surfaces display the natural flow lines associated with a struck coin, instead of the porous texture commonly found on cast counterfeits. Genuine mint-state pieces exhibit a distinctive cartwheel luster that rotates beneath light as the coin is tilted, while cleaned or artificially altered examples often lose this characteristic brilliance. Professional certification by respected third-party grading services provides additional confidence because trained experts examine authenticity, assign standardized grades, identify recognized varieties when applicable, and encapsulate the coin within secure holders. Certified coins also enjoy greater liquidity in the marketplace because buyers can rely upon consistent grading standards rather than personal opinion. This independent verification becomes especially valuable whenever a coin appears unusually well preserved or is represented as a premium quality full-band specimen. Preserving an outstanding 1988 D Roosevelt dime requires discipline because even minor mishandling can permanently reduce collector appeal. Original mint surfaces contain microscopic flow lines responsible for the coin's natural brilliance, and those delicate features are easily damaged by rubbing, wiping, polishing, or abrasive cleaning. Once disturbed, they cannot be restored. Experienced numismatists therefore handle desirable examples only by their edges and prefer long-term storage in inert holders such as archival quality capsules, mylar flips, or professionally sealed grading holders. Stable environmental conditions with controlled humidity and minimal exposure to airborne contaminants help preserve the original appearance for decades. Collectors assembling registry-quality Roosevelt dime sets often compete intensely for coins combining exceptional strike, attractive luster, clean surfaces, and strong eye appeal. Population reports published by the major grading services consistently demonstrate that while millions of 1988 D dimes were produced, comparatively few survive in the highest certified grades with full bands designation, helping explain why elite examples continue attracting sustained interest among advanced specialists. The enduring appeal of the 1988 D Roosevelt dime lies in its ability to demonstrate that rarity is often created not by age or low mintage, but by extraordinary preservation and documented quality. For most Americans, this coin completed its intended purpose as circulating money, quietly facilitating everyday transactions before disappearing into change jars, cash drawers, and coin rolls. Yet a remarkably small number escaped decades of wear with their original luster, sharp strike, and pristine surfaces largely intact. Those fortunate survivors now occupy an important place within the Roosevelt Dime series, reminding collectors that careful observation and professional authentication are essential before assigning significance to any modern coin. Auction history consistently shows that the strongest prices are reserved only for authenticated pieces exhibiting exceptional grades, outstanding eye appeal, full band strike characteristics, or legitimate certified mint errors. Rather than promising hidden fortunes in every pocketful of change, the 1988 D Roosevelt Dime teaches a more meaningful lesson. In numismatics, lasting value is earned through rarity, originality, condition, and informed collector demand, making each exceptional survivor a genuine historical artifact as well as a coveted collectible. Step 3. At first glance, there is almost nothing about the 2000 P Roosevelt dime that demands attention. It is small, familiar, and so common that millions of Americans have handled one without ever giving it a second thought. Yet seasoned numismatists often pause when they encounter this coin because experience has taught them that appearances can be remarkably deceptive. The investigation always begins with the same quiet question. Could this ordinary-looking dime be one of the surprisingly few examples that survived exactly as it left the Philadelphia Mint? The answer cannot be found by the date alone, nor by the mint mark by itself. It requires careful observation of details that most people overlook completely. As we examine the coin together, each clue gradually reveals why collectors continue searching through bank rolls and old collections for exceptional examples, what characteristics professional grading services reward, and why only authenticated, high-quality pieces have earned meaningful collector recognition. The real mystery lies not in how many were struck, but in how few still display the originality, sharpness, and eye appeal that define true numismatic quality. To understand the coin properly, it helps to return to the year 2000, when the United States stood at the beginning of a new millennium. The economy was strong, technology companies dominated financial headlines, and Americans were rapidly embracing the digital age while cash transactions still remained an essential part of everyday life. The Philadelphia Mint faced the enormous responsibility of supplying circulating coinage for a nation experiencing heavy commercial activity, producing well over 1 billion Roosevelt dimes during the year. The small P mint mark, located just above the date on the obverse, identifies Philadelphia as the place of manufacture, a distinction that became standard on circulating dimes after mint marks returned to Philadelphia coinage in 1980. Although the Roosevelt design had already been in continuous production since 1946, its purpose remained unchanged, honoring President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, whose leadership through the Great Depression and World War II, together with his connection to the March of Dimes campaign against polio, secured his lasting place on the 10-cent denomination. Every 2000 P dime left the mint intended to circulate, not to become an instant collectible, making the finest surviving examples accidental treasures rather than specially prepared rarities. The closer the examination becomes, the more impressive the engineering behind this small coin appears. Each genuine 2000 P Roosevelt dime was struck on a clad planchet, consisting of outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving the coin its familiar silver-colored appearance while maintaining durability for decades of circulation. It weighs approximately 2.268 grams, measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and features a sharply reeded edge that both improves grip and discourages counterfeiting. The obverse displays John R. Sinnock's left-facing portrait of Roosevelt, accompanied by the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, the date, and the Philadelphia mint mark. His initials remain subtly visible near the base of the portrait, a detail often overlooked by casual observers. Turning the coin over reveals the classic reverse composition centered around a flaming torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch signifying strength. These familiar artistic elements were transferred from carefully prepared master hubs into working dies, capable of striking hundreds of thousands of coins before gradual wear softened their details. Understanding this production process explains why not every 2000 P dime exhibits the same level of sharpness despite sharing identical specifications. Experienced collectors rarely begin by asking whether the coin is rare. Instead, they study what the coin itself reveals through its surfaces. The first clues appear in the strike quality. Roosevelt's hair should display crisp definition, the ear should remain fully formed, and the cheek should retain its original contours without excessive weakness. Attention then shifts to the reverse torch, where specialists closely inspect the horizontal and vertical bands crossing its center. Coins displaying complete separation of these bands may qualify for the coveted full bands designation awarded by major grading services, indicating an unusually strong strike rather than simple preservation. Luster provides another essential clue. Original mint state examples exhibit the distinctive cartwheel effect created when microscopic metal flow lines reflect light across untouched surfaces. Once circulation begins, friction gradually dulls this brilliance, first appearing on Roosevelt's cheek, hair, jawline, and the highest portions of the reverse design. Collectors also evaluate contact marks, rim nicks, spotting, discoloration, and overall eye appeal before forming any opinion about desirability. It is this careful sequence of observation, not excitement over the date, that separates disciplined numismatics from simple speculation. Only after all of those characteristics have been evaluated does collector value begin to enter the conversation. The overwhelming majority of circulated 2000 P Roosevelt dimes remain worth only their face value because abundant supplies still exist. However, certified mint state examples demonstrating outstanding preservation attract considerably stronger interest. Depending upon certification, originality, strike quality, and market demand, an authenticated MS-67 specimen has traded in the vicinity of approximately $1,450 under favorable collector conditions. Coins certified with the full bands designation and preserved at exceptionally high mint state levels have realized values approaching $2,850 when registry set competition intensified. These results should never be interpreted as applying to every coin with the same date and mint mark. Rather, they illustrate how grading, eye appeal, and scarcity at the highest quality levels dramatically influence the marketplace. While remarkable auction appearances occasionally generate headlines, there is no verified evidence supporting sensational claims that ordinary circulation strike 2000 P Roosevelt dimes routinely sell for extraordinary sums. Responsible collecting always relies upon documented sales, independent certification, and realistic market expectations instead of internet rumors. The investigation becomes even more interesting when searching for legitimate mint-produced anomalies. Collectors carefully inspect every coin for evidence of recognized production errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, struck through debris, die cracks, retained cuds, and properly documented double die varieties. Equally important is understanding what does not qualify as a mint error. Damage caused by parking lots, counting machines, environmental corrosion, polishing, or accidental impacts frequently creates unusual appearances that inexperienced observers mistakenly believe originated at the mint. No major, universally recognized die variety defines the 2000 P Roosevelt dime in the same way that certain famous American coins are known for specific varieties. When unusual characteristics are discovered, specialists compare them against established references before drawing conclusions. Authenticated major mint errors preserved in high mint state condition occasionally command substantial premiums at auction, sometimes exceeding $3,900 when the error is dramatic, certified, and highly desirable. Those exceptional results belong only to genuine production mistakes verified by respected grading authorities, and should never be generalized to ordinary examples sharing the same date. Authenticating an outstanding example requires patience, proper equipment, and an understanding of how genuine mint products differ from altered or counterfeit pieces. Weight should remain within accepted manufacturing tolerances when measured on an accurate digital scale. Diameter, edge reads, lettering, and metallic appearance should match official specifications precisely. Under magnification, authentic struck coins display sharp design transitions and natural metal flow, while counterfeit cast pieces often reveal porous textures, softened lettering, or tiny surface bubbles. Artificial cleaning can also deceive inexperienced collectors by creating unnatural brightness that lacks true cartwheel luster. Professionals therefore examine the coin under carefully controlled lighting, looking for uninterrupted mint frost, consistent color, and evidence of originality. Third-party certification has become increasingly important because grading services not only authenticate the coin, but also assign standardized grades and identify recognized varieties when applicable. Their encapsulated holders provide long-term protection, while giving buyers confidence that the coin has undergone expert examination rather than casual opinion. By the time the investigation reaches its conclusion, the 2000 P Roosevelt dime reveals itself as something far more meaningful than an ordinary piece of pocket change. It represents the remarkable truth that modern coins can develop genuine collector significance through survival, quality, and preservation, rather than age alone. Billions entered circulation, yet relatively few escaped decades of wear with their original surfaces, vibrant luster, and sharp strikes still intact. Those exceptional survivors continue attracting serious collectors who appreciate the subtle distinctions invisible to most people. Proper storage in inert holders, careful handling by the edges, stable humidity, and complete avoidance of abrasive cleaning help preserve these qualities for future generations. Every carefully authenticated example adds another chapter to the ongoing story of American coinage, reminding us that the greatest discoveries often begin with careful observation instead of bold assumptions. The real reward is not simply finding an old dime, but understanding why one carefully preserved survivor can stand apart from millions of nearly identical coins through the enduring combination of originality, craftsmanship, historical context, and disciplined numismatic evaluation.